The mystery surrounding the life and death of Jeffrey Epstein just got deeper. Because apparently yesterday, a suicide note supposedly written by him in 2019 was unsealed by a judge that a DOJ spokesperson said they've never seen before. Now, you know whose Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, was also in the hot seat in a closed-door meeting with House committee members to clarify his relationship with Epstein. Take a look.
If Donald Trump had seen the video transcript, he would have fired Howard Lutnick. It was really embarrassing.
He was evasive, nervous, he was dishonest. He would not admit to lying, which he clearly did in the podcast.
Howard Lutnick is a pathological liar who is enabling the most egregious cover-up in American history. There are real victims here. There are potentially over 1,000 women who were abused and raped when they were children.
The only thing that I had seen that Lutnick did wrong wasn't 100% truthful on the brief visit to the island with his family. He corrected that in his opening statement. If we find that there were any misstatements by Lutnick, it's a felony to lie to Congress, and he'll be held accountable.
Sir, sir, you just said the only thing you thought Howard Lutnick did wrong was lie.
Yeah.
That's what the Democrats said, too. They said he was lying. I don't get it. But, you know, he's not accused of any wrongdoing in connection with Epstein's crimes. But given the way the investigation is going, I mean, thank goodness we're still talking about it, because the only way anyone's going to get any kind of justice is if we never stop talking about it until someone is held accountable.
That's true.
So, do you think it will happen?
This will never go away because people do not take kindly to child abuse.
Yeah.
And that's an understatement.
Yeah.
You know? And they just don't. I think it's never going to go away. And eventually, I think it'll all come out. But this Lutnick guy, I was reading, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he go on the island with his kids?
Yes, he went on the island with a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old.
So who takes their kids? Come on, kids, let's go to Epstein Island.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we want to go to Lego land. No, you were going to Epstein Island.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of a psycho takes his children to something like that?
And his nanny, and he lied about it. He said during a podcast that he met him one time because he was his next door neighbor for years. And when he met him, he got creeped out by him and he would never be in his company again.
He says that now.
Yet he then, he said that.
He said that then.
And then now,
and
then he
somebody
takes
showed
all of
him
his children and his nanny to the island. The thing is, he wasn't under oath. And he had not been subpoenaed. It was sort of a voluntary type of interview, but it's still illegal to lie to Congress.
And
That's
it was
perjury.
closed also.
And it's
not on
closed.
camera.
And not on camera. And what he didn't, I think what he didn't say is most important. He refused to confirm whether or not he spoke to President Trump before his testimony before Congress. In the law, we say no answer is an answer. And so it's very clear to me that he likely met with the president, allegedly, and I think that is very troubling because Donald Trump seems to have been mentioned in the files, over 1,000 times, maybe several thousand times. Correct me in my ear if I'm wrong. And the fact that he is speaking with a witness, potentially, before testimony before Congress should be concerning to every single American.
Well, and listen, this table has praised the fact that this committee has been somewhat bipartisan, that they're going to likely subpoena Pam Bondi if they've not issued it already, that this is another this is another Trump cabinet official who's now testifying. But there feels like there's this uneven treatment. So you had the Clintons testify. It was under oath, on camera.
Yes.
We have seen footage from it. We have read transcripts. Yeah, and that was under subpoena, so that's the distinction they're making. But I think for the public trust in the fact that this is actually a nonpartisan investigation, it would have been helpful to have him, in his own words, on camera answer these questions. And I do suspect that Howard Lutnick's days in the Trump cabinet may be numbered because the news cycle people has largely moved on from Epstein. We're talking about the war in Iran. We're talking about high gas prices. It's kind of been on the back burner for a bit. People have not forgotten about it, but it's not in the headlines. Then he shows up to testify, and it's front and center again. That is something that the president does not want to see. And I could see a world in which he says, politely move on. Maybe he's not formally fired, but that they would want him to move on to something else to just kind of get the stink away from the White House.
Well, the arrogance of it all, because normally if you lie and you have any conscience, you think, oh God, could they find out otherwise? As recently as the fall, the arrogance in which he knew, no, they'd never release that part. And he doubled down. In that interview, he was asked a simple question. If you're dodging and you know the truth, you just say, no, I didn't know him. He said, my wife and I decided we'll never be in the room. He's disgusting. If that guy was there, we're leaving because he's gross. Then you proceed not to tell anyone, but we find out you not only went to visit him,
emails,
you took your children to a pedophile island. Then you continued business. He went out of his way in that same podcast to say, I would never work with him professionally, personally, or for philanthropy. Looking back, he was telling us too much, which is also a tell for a liar.
That is a
But
tell.
the problem around the entire Epstein file is there's little trickles of breadcrumbs, which when they say, you gotta just forget about it, there's nothing here, then stop lying about it over and over and over again.
I worry about the idea that we have now AI things going on. And even if we see them in compromising positions, let's say, photos.
You don't know who it is.
You don't know if it's real. So that bothers me a lot.
That the
I
public
feel like
may not believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the press has been good about debunking things that are fake images, because there's a lot circulating online. There's lists that our names have been on.
Aren't they teaching kids in Norway, I think, how to discern between
They are.
fake and real? They should do that here, because this is going to be a
Listen, we
catastrophe.
can't teach kids how to cross the street without a problem. We don't teach, we don't teach our kids anything that they need to get through life.
Geometry.
Geometry.
I have not used a lot of geometry.
I mean, math really comes in handy
But
at
I
the
do
table
think
here.
in terms of Howard Lutnick, we've got to reiterate that he hasn't been
He hasn't been
accused of any
anything.
wrongdoing, and said that he had no personal or professional relationship with Epstein. But we can still question that, the fact that...
Well, but, listen, if we're going to take what we see and take it all apart and people get accused and lose their livelihood because their name appears, he has to be held to the same thing.
Standard, yeah.
If you did nothing wrong, tell the truth.
Yeah.
But you keep saying there's nothing here, and you keep lighting the fire. You guys keep relighting the fire, which is what your point is. Stop relighting the fire. Just deal with it, because it's not going away. You can slow it down, but it ain't going away, because every time we talk about the war, we're talking about the fact that people can't afford fuel, and no one is releasing all the information with the Epstein files. It's a threesome or a foursome when we're talking about it. It's in a package, man. It's in a package. So tell us, give us the truth. Give us some truth.
And have some semblance of humanity, where we're talking about thousands, possibly, of child sex crime victims.
Yeah, for the survivors.
Well, you want them to, you're asking them a lot.
Yeah.
You're asking for a lot, because if we really want them to start paying attention to what people need, they pay attention to what the people need. They pay attention to what our elderly need. They pay attention to what our children need. But we're not getting any of that from them.
Yeah.
We're getting continuous talk about ballrooms.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay for it.